Yeah, we're good.
Right, you're live now.
I was going to say, I'm guessing we're live.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. This is another show of a live show. Well, actually, live tonight. SAFC Fan TV, and tonight we have My Mistake.
Yo.
We have Jacob.
Greetings from the south.
Southern Softy. We have Michael Bowers.
Greetings from the great site Oldham.
And we have a new guest, Thomas. You all right, Thomas?
Yeah, I'm fine.
All right, lads.
Welcome, Thomas, son.
Well, obviously, plenty of talking points today. The biggest talking point, obviously, is the meeting between the Red and White Army fan group, and also present was the branch liaison council, support liaison groups, and the senior supporters association. I believe the meeting's finished now. Obviously, we've just went live, and I don't know exactly what's went on, but Nick Barnes has apparently done a 30-minute audio with Stuart Donald. I believe that'll be on the internet or the BBC iPlayer later on. But first of all, Michael, I'll just go with you. What do you think's happened in these group talks today, and what do you think? Well, what do you hope what's happened in the group talks?
Well, I can't say what I think's going on because I've been watching football. But as far as what I hope is happening, I'm hoping that we're probably not going to get this, but I would hope that we're going to get some clarity one way or another. Donald, if you plan it, and if you don't want to leave the club and give it another crack at promotion next season, tell us. If you're wanting to sell to somebody, tell us. If there's any negotiations that are genuinely on the table, tell us. If there's anything to do that we can do to help prepare for next season, tell us. The biggest problem is we seem to have lacked direction for the good part of the year. And a large part of that for me is that Donald has hid away for the last year with the fan base. You know, and I understand that he's not going to come out and be as vocal with fans as he was the first year, but you don't go from one end of the extreme to the other in the space of a few months. Don't know who's ever. I could hear some.
That was very funny that he's.
Apologise for any bad language.
I know, goodness me. Right, I'll just talk loudly over him so we can't hear his bad language. But no, like honestly, for what it's worth, yeah. Look, from all I've seen from the allegedly what was discussed was the asking price from Donald. I'll just quickly have my say on that because obviously I was talking to these guys off air about it. Although I think Stuart Donald has, and it looks like he has, barely put any money into the club. I think he's got some nerve asking for 37.6 million or whatever the figure is. But at the same time, though, and I'm going to contradict myself a bit here, I also think that 37.6 million in the grand scheme of things for Sunderland, who's got a Category 1 academy, even though we've got new bloody bastard in it, you know, we've got that 37 odd million should be considered a steal in my opinion, because you've got to remember, although Donald doesn't look like he contributed much towards this, the quoted figure was 40 million when he took over, and that was with a club that had lost over 100 million pounds in debt and was hemorrhaging money and was on a downward spiral as well. So I don't see why we shouldn't be worth 37.6 million now, even though we don't have any parachute payments anymore. So maybe that's a factor into it. But either way, one way or another, we need to get some clarity because I'm sick of waiting, and we need some clarity on the EFL with this stupid salary cap that could get introduced and when the new season starts. I'm sick of waiting.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for us that obviously the things is coming out now as we're going live. I'm trying to just look at things at the reporters on Twitter as I'm speaking. Jacob, what's your feelings on obviously the meetings? I know we don't really know much. What's your feelings on the meetings and what's happened?
Well, first of all, with the club apparently going up for 37 million, to think that you could get 2 Didier Ndongs for that. Honestly, but yeah, I'm starting to hear snippets that apparently at the end of it he was reluctant to answer certain questions, which
there you go.
Is a bit strange. But the only saving grace with that is that he could be potentially on the verge of sealing a new buyer for the club, but he doesn't want anything to get in the way of that process. But if that's not the case, then fans have every right to be frustrated with him. But it all depends on what answers were given. I mean, we're only hearing little things on Twitter at the moment. We won't know, I reckon, the full scale of what's gone on today until later on this evening. But I can only hope, fingers crossed, that there was rumours being spurted out tonight through Stuart Donald's mouth that a takeover could be on the verge of completion. I mean, it's been a very interesting week, let's put it that way. I mean, there's been talk of Mark Campbell going in for another bid. There's been, I think, another 2 or 3 investors being looked at as well.
Some of you and Mickey Greer's a consortium as well, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know how much, but from what we do know, it looks like the Mark Campbell consortium that he's leading up is like the most truthful out of all the ones that are lining up to potentially buy the club. So we can only have our fingers crossed at the moment.
I'm just getting things coming through from Mark Donnelly now that he's the reporter as well.
We'll go on.
He just basically says Stuart Donald and Mark Campbell, if he comes back with 80 million and he's going to put 50 million in the club, then that's a good deal for the football club. I have a read about him in the paper. I'm not going to take everything in the newspaper at face value. Anyway, my mistake. What's your feelings on today's meetings with the Red and White Army fans groups, and what do you think, or what do you hope they've come out of it?
Probably nothing. Probably nothing's going to. I can't believe he's going to say anything truthful, to be honest. I don't know. I think there's no buyers lined up apart from Mark Campbell. If that's going to go through, I wish him all the best. If he has the backing and the money, I hope he has. Otherwise, it's just pointless, isn't it, really? It was here before. Was supposed to going to take over and they turned him down for some reason. So I don't know why they've decided to go with him again. I mean, you had like Hong Kong.
Some of you.
Yeah, other good syndicates lined up. So, what's Stuart Donald going to actually say apart from try and win over the fans? He's going to avoid the questions, the hard hitting questions. He's going to try and be a politician and avoid the questions. And he's not going to give much out. And I haven't got a clue what's going on with this chat at this moment in time. So I'll save my judgment till I've read it or seen it live anyway.
Right. Also, I just want to say something that Mark Donnelly says well on Twitter. He said, at this current time, there is no one that has provided proof of funds and shown an interest, an intent to close a deal. We phoned Mickey Greer this week and asked if his consortium were interested, and they're going to get back to us. So that's just a case of, well, there's nothing set in stone. It's just, I'm just waiting around it again for like potential buys. Anyway, Thomas, what's your feelings on today's meetings with the fans group, and what do you hope come out of it?
I think the main thing for Sunderland fans we need is clarity, not only from Stuart Donald but the EFL. This salary cap could really impact the signings we have to make and the players we have to get rid of. I think Stuart needs to sell quickly, but he has to make sure it's the right person. I'm not sure Mark Campbell is the right person. Maybe someone like Mickey Gray with the right backing, understands the club, understands the people, would be a better choice for Sunderland.
Good point. I mean, like you say, Mickey Gray. I think right now we could do with somebody who knows the club, like Thomas said there, either Mickey Gray or Kevin Phillips. That would be great if Niall Quinn could come back. But like you say, it seems to be just everything's up in the air. I mean, I don't know if you've heard. Was it a couple of days ago? The Wise Man they put something up on Twitter saying that there was imminent that Mark Campbell was going to be taking over the club. But obviously that turns out not to be true. Jay, but you're going to say something, mate?
Yeah, with Mickey Gray leading up a potential consortium, like the only fear I have with it, if like that potential consortium goes through, is that Mickey Gray, like, he loves the club like so passionately, there's no shadow of a doubt. But I think with Mickey Gray, I feel like with him like leading up how the club's going to go in the right direction, he'll think too much on the basis of the fan rather on like the business side of football. And I feel like we just need someone who like understands like the dealings and like the business with football a lot more right now. I mean, Mickey Gray might be that man, but it's 50-50 whether it works out. I mean, we had that gamble with Quinny when he came over with his Drummondville consortium, and that worked massively. So it's just a massive gamble.
Sorry, Terry.
Mickey Greer will have people with him that will understand the business side of things. Mickey Greer, he's going to be the figurehead, isn't he? He's going to be in charge, but he'll have his team behind him who will be guiding him in the right direction.
That's true. That's a good point. I see it. That's maybe what we need right now. I mean, Stuart Donald has come out today and apparently said that if the fans want to step down as chairman, he'll step down. But I think saying that you need somebody to buy the club, don't you? I mean, that's got to be his priority. It's got to be his number one priority is to sell the club as soon as possible. I mean, I've just said there, Chris Weatherspoon as well. There's no evidence the owners have committed more than 16.4 million of their own money to date. So, and Mike was saying earlier on, he bought the club for 40 million, but I think if he paid the club within a year, it was agreed with Ellis Short that they would be for 37 million. And now we were hemorrhaging a lot of money, and we've had this discussion, we've argued about it, and I think Stuart Donald has brought the finances down, and he's come in, he's done that. I don't blame him, like, for to a certain aspect for asking for 37 million. But do you think he's entitled to sell it for that much, Michael? I mean, if he's only put 16 million in, I mean.
Oh yeah, no, I mean from that perspective, I completely agree with what you're saying. I think that Donald, if he's only put like 16 or so million in, then surely he could lower his price down to say 20, 25 million. He's still making a profit. But my point was, even though we know Donald didn't purchase the club for 40 million, he didn't pay 40 million of his own money. The point is, I think that if that figure was being touted with the state off the pitch as bad as it was, then I don't see why 37 million now is a realistic price. So I know I've contradicted myself here, but I mean, I know
what you mean.
In the grand scheme of things, that 37 million for Sunderland should be considered a bargain. If you get Sunderland in the Championship, which shouldn't cost very much money to do, by the way, if you get Sunderland in the Championship straight away, the price would go up by a couple of dozen. Well, actually, if the price is 37 million now, I'd expect Sunderland to be worth 60, 70 million in the Championship.
Oh, easy,
Easy, probably more, to be honest. But And I just think as well that, you know, you look at what you could be getting out of Sunderland. I know you could say this about a lot of clubs, but there's not a lot of clubs that have got the facilities Sunderland have to really push on to the next level if we could just get into the Championship. So that's why I think for me, 37 point something million, blah, blah, isn't a bad price in the grand scheme of things. When you look Newcastle, I know it's down to Mike Ashley, but Newcastle are going for something like 300-400 million. You could get Sunderland for a tenth of that price. So I know. But still,
just quickly, Mike. I think, and I Jake once again. I think it's because if he paid 40 million for the club at the start, and it wasn't over the period of time, he paid 40 million.
Yeah.
Then I think people would justify. Oh well, he's. But I think it's the fact that he's only put 16 million in, and he's used the parachute payments to pay for the rest of the club. That's why people's a bit annoyed. Jake, that's why
I'm the other side of it. I can understand why people are annoyed at Donald for wanting that much when he's not putting much in it. You know, of course.
Jacob.
Yeah, I've got a question for Sean. If Stuart Donald finds the right buyer that will eventually lead the club to great success with like his positive financial dealings and like the key decisions he makes that gets right, will Stuart Donald, will your anger and frustration towards him slightly change because he has found the right person to take the club to that?
Yeah, I mean, good question, mate. To be fair, if he can do one good thing now, I mean, Michael and my mistakes, we had a bust up a couple of weeks ago when we were just discussing about Stuart Donald. But if he can do one good thing for me, and that is to sell the club on to the right person, then I wouldn't have any anger. I mean, if one good thing he can do now is give our club to the right person who can take us forward. And then at least he can leave and he can say, well, I've done that. You know what I mean, Michael?
Yeah. I was going to say, actually, I'm going to follow on from what Jacob said, and this is for Sean and Terry specifically. Do you think then, however much Stuart Donald's got criticism, and it's deserved, by the way, it's fully deserved because it looks he could be killing the club into the ground. But if he found someone, do you think Stuart Donald could earn a remote bit of respect among fan base again if he sold us to someone who was going to take to the next level? Even if it's a smidgen of respect, you know.
Terry wants to say something there, Terry?
I have a feeling he's going to.
First of all, someone tell Reefooty to turn his bloody mic off.
We could hear a lot.
Everything he's doing.
We could get your whole conversation.
Turn your mic off, Philly.
Second thing, I don't believe for an instant that Sean's an angry man. I think he doesn't hate Stuart Donald. The only time Sean gets angry is in five-a-side football. Right. Third thing, if Stuart Donald was the architect of Ellis Short scrapping all the debt when he first took over, that was part of the deal. If Stuart Donald came in and said, right, Ellis, I'll buy the club, I'll take over the club, you scrap the debt, you get rid of all the debt. If Stuart Donald was the architect of doing that, and then he can sell the club for 37 million and get a good profit, I'd be happy with that.
Exactly. I mean, That's a good point, I tell you.
And don't you expect football owners to do that anyway? When the first thing they walk in is to basically clear debts off straight away, and then
No,
like,
but
start from scratch and then work up.
Ellis Shaw didn't have to clear the debt off, did he, when he walked
No,
away?
didn't have to.
So
No,
if
he didn't
Stuart
have to.
Donald was the architect of that, then for me, he deserves the money. He deserves the 37 million, but we'll never know.
No, I'm not begrudging. I'm not begrudging him, like you see it, but it's just the way. If he just had bought the club for the 40 million at the start and not over a period of time, I would have been, I would have said fair enough. But like Michael said earlier on, I mean, 37 million for our club. I mean, I know we're in the third tier, but that's still an absolute steal. It's an absolute steal. We're a massive football club. Thomas, what's your feelings on the price and your feelings about obviously potential buyers?
I think there's two sides of looking at it. I think one is if he's only invested 16 million, then the price should be a lot lower than 37. But
That's fair.
to any businessman, 37 million for Sunderland, there's so much potential there to get more out of it. So I think it's a steal.
It is. Philly, can you hear us, Philly, now? Yeah?
Can you hear me?
Finish the tea,
Definitely, yeah.
Oh man, I've been working hard, man. I'm a grafter. I'm not like you lot.
I could hear you chewing your food.
Chances. That was our last. That wasn't me. And it wasn't a food she was chewing. Right now, pack
you
that
lot
in.
sound like Daleks.
Yeah. And let's just say something as well. Richard Maynard, the reporter on Twitter, he's just said there, Stuart Donald names his asking price. Hopefully, that 11.5 million parachute payment will be repaid first. There's one as well. People say, no, well, he's won 37 million for the club. What about the money he owes the club as well? Do you know what I mean? What about that, Michael?
If that's the case, couldn't he just knock that off and ask for 25 million anyway?
That's what I'm saying. He's wrote 20 million off as well. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah.
Anyway, I had some questions. I'm just trying to think of what the questions are. Right, I'll just go away from the thing for a second. Just a fun one off Mapping Tweets, right? Was it a question? He says, just a fun question. Right, he's named 3 women, right? Yeah, either got a snog, marry, or avoid. Right, first of all, I'll give me a first. Delia Smith.
Why are you
Snog,
going
marry,
with me?
Snog, marry, or avoid. Delia Smith.
Oh, right, okay, I see. Delia Smith. Oh God. Marry, because she seems to have a good sense of humour. Go on then.
Right. Joyce Rome, she's the chef of Something Till I Die. Marry, snog, or avoid.
Oh God. Can I hear who the third person is before I make my decision?
Alex Morgan. It's the American footballer. I'll just show it. I'll see it. Can you see her?
Okay. Oh,
why are we doing this?
I don't know. I was just trying. I was just trying to tackle away from the thing a little bit.
Okay, fine. Marry Alex Morgan. Oh God. Nog Joyce Rove, I guess, just because she's a nice person and avoid.
Anyway, we'll skip that question and I'll you away.
Excuse me. I had to answer it and nobody else. That's not fair.
I just thought I'd ask. I'm trying to get more things. What's coming out? Say again, Joe.
Yeah,
Bowers never fails to amaze me.
Jacob, it's unfair. I'm the one who has to look like a complete tit on camera, and everyone else gets spared. Hey,
what's your feelings on, as well as obviously Mark Campbell? I mean, I put a video on Twitter early in the week. I don't know if you've seen it. And Stuart Donald said that he didn't think Mark Campbell would have anything to do with the football club.
Can I be first on that then?
Yeah, no bother. And he also said that obviously he wants somebody who's got more money than him, and Mark Campbell's that guy. Philly is obviously wanting to get in. So, Philly, what's your thoughts on that?
Right. Well, the thing is first of all, I know apologies for coming in late, but right. I don't know what's been said today because I've been out grafting, unlike you, chances, sat on your asses doing nothing. Right. However, I did see the clip you put on, Sean, where Stuart Donald had said about Mark Campbell and Mark Campbell not being the right man for the job. And then this week, rumours going about that Mark Campbell is going to be the one he's going to sell to. The way I look at it with that is is there a little bit of Stuart Donald saying, well, I'll sell to him because I know he's not going to be good enough and he's going to fail, and to make it look like, well, look what you had, and now you've hounded me out, and now you've got Mark Campbell. Do you think there's any of that going on? Do you reckon?
No, I don't think so. I think it's just what that reporter, what's that thing he's called again now? Mark Donnelly's space, he says as well. I know they desperately want me out, obviously Donald, so and he's desperately trying to get out. I don't think he's just going to sell to Mark Campbell just to be like a country. Do you know what I mean? Excuse me, language. I think
You can't use language like that. There's kids watching.
Sean, man.
But no, I think if he's got any dignity, he will sell it to the right person. But like you say, he said Mark Campbell wasn't the right person, but now he's, you know, apparently the day it's close to happening. But then in the meeting today, he hasn't mentioned anything about Mark Campbell. I don't believe. So God knows, like. Anybody else?
If Donald is really going to annoy the Fulham fan base, then he can never ever claim you had the best interest of the heart. Can never ever claim that, and anyone can believe it. Yeah, look, I mean, I don't get as well. Part of me does then wonder: did Donald allegedly turn away the Saudis for the same reason then? But then you think, well, the Saudis surely would have offered a good amount of money, so you know.
It'll be interesting to hear Nick Barnes' interview with Stuart Donald when that actually arrives. Like, I think that'd be really good. As a 30-minute interview, Nick Barnes and Stuart Donald audio. I don't know if it's going to drop on their Twitter or if it's going to be on the BBC iPlayer. I'm not sure, but that should be interesting to hear what Stuart Donald's got to say to Nick Barnes, I believe. Like,
yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate what's happened. Like, we've went live tonight, and then everything's happening as we're speaking. Do you know what I mean, Philly? And it's like things are coming out, and it's hard.
Well, we've got people now joining us on the live chat, so I want to try and chuck some of them in if we can. We've got John Marriott down here, says he's late to the party. Mickey Gray taking over the club. So has anybody heard any rumours on that and Mickey Gray's consortium? Anybody?
I mentioned earlier on, Philly, I've got a message saying that, well, it was...
Sorry, has that been mentioned already? I do apologise.
Mark Donnelly, the reporter, he says at this current time, there's no one that has provided proof of funds and shown any intent to close a deal. But he phoned Mickey Gray this week and asked if his consortium were interested, and they're going to get back to us. So maybe that's talk still ongoing about that. But I mean, as we talked about earlier on, I think right now it'd be good if we could get somebody like Mickey Gray, because he knows the club inside out. Do you know what I mean?
Is that Sunderland's new investor next to Terry? Like
PG Tips sponsor next season.
I mean, we get free cups of tea or coffee at the games next season.
Sorry, apologies, my dad just coming in.
Didn't even think.
So, all right then. So, let's say we've had these rumours about Mark Campbell this week. What are your thoughts on if he took that over? Jacob, do you want to start off on that?
It's 50-50 at the moment. I mean, people are saying like he's not got the right funds to pass EFL checks at the moment, but that could all depend on the right people he lines up for this potential consortium that's going to like join together with him to potentially buy the club. I mean, I believe right now he's still over in America at the moment, so I believe consortium members that will line up are like based over in America as well. I mean, I think that's what I heard when he potentially tried to buy, was it Falkirk as well, but that never went through in the end. But yeah, it all depends. Like now it's all up to Stuart Donald. He has to get the right buyer for the good of the club and also the fans at the same time.
All right. Thomas, what do you think?
I think there's concerning things about Mark Campbell. His finance and backing is one of them. However, the mention of some people in his backroom stuff that he wants to bring on the football side of things sound promising. the scout that used to work for Celtic, and
Mhm.
Ryland Morgans, the coach who worked under Klopp and Allardyce. They could be quite promising to bring in.
So would you be a fan of him if he came? Do you think
If he
it's
had,
got legs?
if he had the right backing, but I'm not convinced he does.
Do we know who his backers are or not?
They
No,
were described as US investors.
is that it?
That's all we
Mad
know.
mistake. Well, what do you reckon to Mark Campbell?
I don't think he'd be coming into the club if he didn't have solid investors and had money behind him. Otherwise, he'd be a bigger chump than Donald's been. So I can't imagine him. He's got to have some kind of investment behind him and some kind of plan. Otherwise, what's the point of taking over? So you have to like sort of go with the flow and just accept him when he comes in, and hopefully he does have the backing and he does have the money behind him. So you have to believe in it, really, to be honest.
Michael,
There's a question I want to say to all of you first, though, right?
go on then.
Since 1997, the Sunderland have been called the Black Cats.
Right.
I always thought when I was younger, a black cat was supposed to be unlucky. Are you all happy with Sunderland's mascots being the Black Cats? Yes or no?
Well, for me, I wanted us to be the Mackhams. However, I see why it was done, because commercially, a black cat, can go on merchandise and stuff like that and whatever he wears. If you call the Mackhams, so I understand why it was done, but I would rather our nickname be the Mackhams than the Black Cats. But who am I to say out? Anybody else? Michael, what do you think?
I don't know, what would if you could want to be called the Mackhams, what would you have as a mascot then?
Shipbuilder.
Shipyards and pits. I don't know. Well, if that's the case, if so, hang on. Is Mad Mistake suggesting that the reason that Sunderland have failed underperformed for a good part of a decade is because Black Cats are our mascots?
I think so.
In which case, scrap them. Get something else in. Sick of them.
Sean?
On Mark Campbell.
On the Black Cats, man, oh,
Can we not have the monkey that Mad Mistake's got as a mascot? Hey, there's our new mascot for next season.
I thought that's already been taken down at Hartlepool.
Oh God,
They've got a monkey, haven't they?
Okay.
And about the Mark Campbell situation, obviously Stuart Donald's words were he's obviously money-wise, we'll be no better off than when leaving him in charge. It's obviously the people who's behind them. You know what I mean? If these people have got money and they've got good intentions, then I suppose it can't be any worse than what it is now. You know what I mean? But I don't think anybody knows. It just everybody seems to know Mark Campbell, but not who's coming into the play as well. Do you know what I mean?
Who's against Stuart Donald? Charlie Methven.
Can I just say something quickly as well? James Hunter, right? The Chronicle on Twitter, he put, Donald confirmed to Barnsley that the club's up for sale. He does intend to sell, but there's no buyer present. He wants the money back that he paid for the club. That price is 37.6 million. He wants the money back that he paid for the club. Right?
So should be.
He's put 16 million into the club, but he wants 37.6 million back.
Yeah, that makes like no sense. I was going to say on the Mark Campbell thing. I think that a year ago, if the only thing that concerns me a bit about Mark Campbell is that a year ago he wasn't deemed good enough to take us to the next level, yet now he is. Which is but I'm only guessing Mark Campbell must have had some significant investment behind him that he mustn't have done back a year ago. So again, it's all about the people that are behind him and backing him. If that's the case, just get the guy in. I'm sick of waiting and not knowing. Like Sean said though, as far as Donald's concerned, if he's only put 16 million, maybe give or take a couple of million either way, then it's a bit much to ask for. It's best to ask for more than double what you put into the club, mate. But like if you just ask for 25 million, you still make a profit.
The thing is with it all, right? Somebody's just said on the live chat down here. Let me find him. Thane SAFC saying that Mark Campbell isn't worth much more than Donald. So it's all about the consortium. And if that's the case, then surely would we not be better with the likes of Mickey Gray? Because if it's all about the backers, you would rather have somebody like Mickey Gray who loves the club and could create a similar situation to what Niall Quinn did with Drummondville. I mean, Niall Quinn didn't have the money. It was the backers, but Niall Quinn loved the club. And look at the run we went on, you know, with them. So rather than have someone like Mark Campbell in, surely it would be better to have somebody like Mickey Gray.
Jacob looks a big skeptic in my mind.
Well, I think like football's changed financially from when Quinn first took over as chairman. I think now it's all about the right like type of people you bring in around you. It's like with Mark Campbell, if he has like top American investors to join this consortium that apparently he's lined up, the main positive I can take from it is like if they're all over based in America, like Netflix is massive in America, like they'll be watching Sunderland till I die and think like that is something for us to work on. We can.
But is it not out of the frying pan into the fire? Because we've had American owners. I mean, they were short, and you know, it seems with the Americans, you know, they get it. It's a bit of a toy. It's a plaything. And then when they get bored, and because, you know, I may be wrong, but I can't see an American having the passion. You know, football is not, or soccer or whatever they want to call it. It's not an American sport. So, you know, how can they have understand the passion of it? It's more just a plaything. Mad mistake?
Who owns Liverpool?
Some Americans.
Boston Red
yeah,
Sox.
but the difference is though, the difference is Liverpool are flying high, they're winning everything. Of course, you know, they're going to be, everybody's talking about it. So the Americans love it because, you know, they're part of it. If somebody's struggling, then they get bored with it.
You can't tarnish everybody with the same brush. We all like a drink, but we're not all drunks.
Well, Michael?
Well, what I was going to say was the reason I was wiggling my finger because is it Liverpool's owners? When did they come in? Did anyone know when they came in?
Anybody?
I think it was 2010. I think.
Right. In which case, then, Liverpool wouldn't have won anything over the last few years prior.
It took like a long step process to get.
That's what I was going to say. So they must have. It's only recently. It's only the last year and a bit that Liverpool have started winning things. So surely, then, if the best thing Mark Campbell could do, then why don't you bring Mickey Gray in as part of a consortium, then, or anyone who's deep club legends, or even better idea, if Mark Campbell comes into the club with American backers behind him, why not utilize that Kevin Balls or why not utilize Kevin Phillips who could come in and do something with the club? You know, why do we have to have one at the expense of the other? Could we not like try and find a way to combine both?
Can I ask Jacob a question?
Go on,
Jacob.
Yeah.
You've got good contacts. Can you get Mark Campbell on the show?
I'm afraid I don't have the number to his blower just yet, Terry. But
right. Can I ask? I want to bring Thomas in because Thomas is our guest tonight, and I'd like to ask you. We've all had our say on Phil Parkinson remaining as manager for next season. What's your opinion on it? Would you like to see him have another go? Would you rather him go the journey? And if that's the case, who do you think you'd like to come in instead?
I think when he was the first appointed, he wasn't my first choice, but I was willing to give him a chance. He has got experience in promotion in this league. I think my worry is if we have a long-term project at Sunderland, what has he done in the Championship to prove himself? I'm not sure it's too much. But given the right backing, there's potential there for Parkinson to work with, but some of his tactics and subs do worry me.
But are we not getting ahead of ourselves saying, you know, what's he done in the Championship? You know, we're not in the Championship, and I think, you know, the first thing we've got to concentrate on is getting out of this league, and he's got a good record of getting teams promoted out of this league. So I think I agree with you. Come the Championship, you know, he's probably not going to be good enough. But I think we've got to look at ourselves. We're a League One team. That's where we are, and I think there's too much of we're a massive club goes on and all that. We're a League One club at the moment, and we have League One finances, and that's where we're at. Michael?
That is true, but that doesn't mean expectations shouldn't be there, though. It
Good,
doesn't.
Michael. Good, Michael. That's the way. That's the way, Michael.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Don't get me wrong. I do get what Phil is saying. Oh god, the sun's coming out all over the place. Yeah. I get what Phil is saying about. I get what Philly's saying about Parkinson there, but in the context that in the Championship we're not in that league. We're in League One. I think Parkinson. If say hypothetically Sunderland get the Championship, I think Parkinson could be good enough in terms of stabilising us, but that's as far as I think he would be able to take us. I think ultimately Sunderland's aim is rightly to get back in the Premier League. However much opposition fans in League One don't like that for some stupid reason. Sunderland
it's a truth. It's a truth.
No, exactly.
It's the least expectation.
Right, go on then, Sean.
It's the least expectation. No, there's a couple of pointers. Philly from Craig Johns, he works for the Chronicle. He's put a couple of tweets up. One was, Donald hasn't ruled out considering selling to Mark Campbell. It wouldn't be the terms of last summer, but if Campbell came with the figures to prove he's financially capable and credible, he would sell. Also, Craig Johns says that Donald says until he has a credible buyer, he will continue to run it as well as he can, and he makes sure Sunderland have the biggest budget in League One. We've heard that before. It's sad for him, but he accepts he does not have to leave altogether. When he does find a buyer, admits he doesn't see a way back.
If he's going to have the biggest budget, to have the biggest budget in League One, prove it in the transfer window.
Exactly. Let's get out there now, Let's get out there and do it now.
Sorry, Jacob.
We've heard it. We've heard it all before, haven't we? That's the thing. It's bottom line is, I think it's who your backers are, and I'm still reeling over this. If it's true about the Saudis, then I'm absolutely livid,
gutted
about that. But again, is it true? Is it not? I'd like to think that. I mean, Sean, you were saying that that Nick Barnes is going to do an interview with Stuart Donald.
No, he's done it. He's done an interview. It was reported earlier on by a few of the reporters on Twitter, and they said that he's done an interview with Stuart Donald's 30-minute audio interview. And I'm not sure how we're going to be able to listen to that. I don't know if it's going to be on the BBC iPlayer. Or he's going to, or Nick Barnes is actually going to put it onto Twitter later on. And I don't know. Jacob might know. I don't know, but he's definitely.
BBC Newcastle.
To be honest, he'll probably have a say of which bits get used and which don't. To be honest, knowing Stuart Donald, he's probably what he said today in the questions put forward towards him. I reckon he would have rehearsed it all week, knowing what answers are going to.
One thing I will say is. The one thing I will say as well about, if the Saudis did want to come in and buy the club and Stuart Donald turn it down, there's a lot of Geordies who've said I'm a hypocrite. I'm a hypocrite because I've been quite vocal in saying that their takeover should not be allowed and by any mean, way, shape or form. If the Saudis are coming in and there wasn't no baggage with the Saudis coming in, then that's fair enough. But if you've got somebody who's coming in who's been proven he's murdered his ex-wife and things like that. You know what I mean? And that's different. That's my different view on it. You know what I mean? So
you're going to get some hate off Newcastle fans for this.
Look, I'm sure I saw somewhere on social media this week that if Campbell took over, there was a percentage split of who would own the club, and I believe Stuart Donald, Charlie Methven, and Juan Santori were still gonna stay as part of the club. Is that right? Have I misread that?
Yeah, that again, Philly. I didn't quite hear that.
I'm sure I've seen on social media that if Mark Campbell bought the club, he would have the majority shareholding, right? But it would still include Stuart Donald, Charlie Methven, and Juan Santori.
Oh,
have I seen that right or not?
I saw somewhere that apparently it's Mark Campbell gets 2/3 of the cut, something like 64%, and Donald keeps 20%.
No, I
saw that somewhere, but I can't remember if it was creditable or not.
Of course, that's going to be the case. That's the only reason Mark Campbell's the front runner, because Stuart Donald wants to stay at the club at some. We already know this. We know Stuart Donald's turned everybody else away. Mickey Gray wants him out. Yeah. Hong Kong want him out.
Yeah.
The bloody Saudis want him out. There's only Mark Campbell. Yeah. It's like saying, Stuart Donald, you can stay at the club. Please let me take over. That's what's going on. We all know what's happening. It's not fucking rocket science. Pardon me French. Another thing, salary cap. This puts emphasis on the Academy Elite, getting the youngsters through. Use the youngsters. We've got the best academy in League One. Why shouldn't we have the best youngsters coming through to be into the teams?
I was going to say, did anyone see that Paul Reed thing of the guy at the academy? Did anyone see that what he put on was it like LinkedIn?
Yeah.
It was something along the lines of, we've retained that he's saying about the club's progress and the academy's progress since he's been there. We've retained our Category 1 status. We've done that. He conveniently doesn't mention that our team's been spanked 47-1 every week, and also the fact that anytime someone's half decent, we sell them. Didn't mention that, Paul, did you?
If we nurtured the Academy Elite now, we'd have a fantastic group of youngsters coming through. The salary cap wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter.
He's also, Stuart Donald has come out and said that he's more than willing to be flexible with the payments for the club. So if somebody want to come in and buy the club, unlucky for them, they haven't got the partial payments like he had the privilege, but they want to come in, they want to buy the club over a period of time. He's also willing to do that. But I think there's a catch. If we get back to the Premier League, he wants a bonus on that as well.
Do you believe that, John? Do you believe that? Do you believe that Stuart Donald's going to actually leave the club full stop?
Well, I would like to think so, but no, I don't dare tell you. I think he wants to sell about 80 to 90% of it and have some sort of percentage of it. So then there's a clause somewhere as well when these potential buyers come in, when we get back to Premier League, he gets a bonus, another bonus. I mean,
right. Let me quickly jump in, Jacob, before we let you on there, because someone on the chat here, Jack O'Connor, has said that the interview with Donald has already been played on BBC Radio Newcastle tonight, and he said it sounds like crap in his opinion. Malcolm Thorpe has said, if you listen to the interview, Stuart Donald wants out, full stop. So that's what's coming in at the moment. We don't know. I've not heard it. Maybe it's gone out while we've been on air. Just quickly, because Jacob's been waiting to come in. Jacob?
Yeah, I've got two things. Firstly, like, with all this pressure that's going towards Stuart Donald at the moment and all like the frustrations he has, like with fans wanting him to go, but like he's struggling to sell the club and go, like at the moment he's going nowhere. I have a fear that this potentially might affect massively the team next season, because that squad needs serious investment, and he'll be thinking, why should I invest in something where I'm not wanted? Not because that squad, we need to go up this season, simple as that. And my second question is, if Mark Campbell comes in, this is a question, if Mark Campbell comes in, do you think he'll have a new manager in place?
Right. Quickly, we'll go to Sean after this. There's loads of people coming up on the chat now saying that what he said in an interview, Stuart Donald wants nothing to do with us. So all this thing of where you can buy it, but I'm in now, if that's true, apparently he's saying he wants out in this interview. Sean, what was you wanting to say?
No, I was just looking at some of the reports of what's coming through of James, other reports on Twitter. What I will say, the second question, if Mark Campbell was to take over, answer that, I think he will bring his own manager in. I think if Mark Campbell was to take over, I think Philip Parkinson would be sacked. I think he would find his own man going forward. And what was your other question? Your first one again was next season. You worry about the potential money getting put into the squad.
Yeah, something like that.
He has actually said, he's come out and said, well, in this meeting today, that if he doesn't find a buyer, he will. We will have the biggest budget in League One. But like as Philly says, we've heard this before. Do you believe him? And I do agree with you, Jacob. At the day, if he knows we didn't want him here, so if that's the case, he probably think to yourself, well, why should I invest in the squad? You know what I mean? I'll sell it eventually. So that's my view, isn't it, like Michael?
But if that's the case, then if he wants more money, then should he invest in the team a little bit to get us to the Championship to get more money? So business-wise, it would make sense for us to invest in the team to go up. I'm probably the only one here. I don't think, in terms of a squad, we need a number of signings. In terms of the start 11, I think you need 3-4 key players, and I think you've got a good League One team there.
I think it's going to take me more than 3 or 4. I
Right, well,
think
here-
we need more quality midfield players.
Last season proved he was good enough. You've got O'Nien, who's popular among the fans. Willis, who's good enough. Say Flanagan signs, you've got a centre back there. But if Bailey Wright signs there, Denver Hume, who I think is good enough. Josh Gowan, who is apparently championship standard. Max Power, I know Sean and me disagree with him, but obviously he's won this league before. You've got who else? Chris Maguire, one of our best players. Gooch on his game, one of our best players. You've got Greg. If you can get chances to him, he can score goals. I think you need probably about 3-4 players in that team. And I think that with the right tactical management and man management, I think we would go up next season.
Yeah.
So,
Sorry for the tangent, but go on.
Can I say it quickly? Can I say it quickly on Twitter? Everybody's kicking off about the price, about the 37 million. There's nobody's happy about the price he set. I just want to quickly say that. So,
But do you not think? I mean, for and I know I went on about we're a League One club, but for a club the size of Sunderland, for under 40 million, it's an absolute steal.
it's an absolute steal for you.
Yeah.
But I think it's. Sorry, Terry. Go on.
What does Thomas think about Phil Pattinson? Will Mark Campbell keep Phil Pattinson?
I think he'll get rid of him, but I think it depends when the takeover goes through, because if it's well into the transfer window, then the new manager has to get used to the team and find his own targets, and it could well be too late. So I think the longer this goes on, I think Parkinson will just be here for next season.
Thomas, do you think that 09 will go to Wigan?
No, I don't think so.
Hope not.
Good question, Terry.
Hope not.
I don't know if I've missed it because, like I said, I've not seen a lot in the news. But how close is this Mark Campbell takeover? Or is it just? Is it speculation, or is it quite a way down the line? Do we not know?
All the reporters, on reliable reporters on Twitter have basically said there's. Stuart Dunn said there's not a deal that's concrete, so it's basically speculation at the minute. There's not one deal on the table who's proven funds. For the Mark Campbell thing, that's obviously that was the pie in the sky. To be fair, I mean it's rumoured, but there hasn't been a concrete.
Do we not think then by him putting out the price of the club, which obviously he's done today, will then, because we've had a lot of stories. I know the Mickey Gray Consortium apparently have tried to buy it twice, and each time it's got to a certain point, and then it's like they've been put off by Stuart Donald, whether it be because Stuart Donald didn't want to leave or whatever. But now, by putting the price out there of what they want, there's no excuse now for Stuart Donald. If somebody comes in and says, there's 37.5 million, right, then there's no excuse for Stuart Donald not to sell. I mean, it's not like with Ellis Short, where he said, I wanted the right people to take over. Surely if Donald wants out now, somebody comes up with 37.5 million, then go on, Mad Mistake. What do you want to say?
Is Donald not going to use the same excuse? Is he not going to say it's going to be the right buyer with the right future for Sunderland?
Well, people seem to be saying now on the chat here, on this interview, which we've not heard, that Stuart Donald, and I know, do you believe it? Do you not believe it? But they're saying that Stuart Donald wants nothing to do with the club now. He wants out. So do we believe that?
The problem is anything Donald says can be taken with a pinch of salt, though. Like, we're going to have the biggest budget in League One. Heard that 2 years ago, still yet to show it in the window. You've got, we want to do this, that, and the other. No, Donald Methven have always come out and said, for example, Juan Sartori. I'll mention Thane SCXD here because he's a class underrated YouTuber, and he mentioned Juan Sartori, where, Juan Sartori's done, he's going to do this, that, and the other. Well, he's done bugger all apart from taking £1 for the sake of the club's shares. There's if that's true anyway. My point is that if whatever Donald's going to say, it's going to be taken with a pinch of salt until we see hard, concrete evidence that he's backing up what he's saying, as he was early doors, that he was backing up what he's saying with concrete actions. Not just empty words.
So are we convinced then that he's just saying the things what will make him? I was going to say popular, but he's never going to be popular again, is he? But by saying that, it makes him look less of a I don't know, less of the devil or whatever you want to say. I mean,
probably
it's going to take the pressure off him. That's what he wants.
But so are we saying even though the fact people are saying that he's saying he just wants away from it all now, do we not believe that? Do we not? Thomas, what do you think?
I think if If given the chance, if Campbell will let him stay on, then I think he'll take the opportunity. He likes the spotlight.
All right, Mad Mistake.
If somebody comes in, example, Hong Kong syndicate comes in and has the money to bid, whatever it is, he's not going to say to us the money was there. He'll just say the circumstances weren't right. He'll make some excuse up, and we'll never know. We'll just never know.
There's still loads of like question marks about this as well. I mean, he wants 37 million for the club. He's put 16.5 million in. That's maximum he's put in the club, right? What about the 20.5 million? Apparently, was that question asked today? The 20 million, what he put into Madrox, the other company? I mean, that's the club's money. What is that in with the 37? Who gets that money? Is he going to pay that money back?
Well, so is he not entitled to some money for the job he's done so far then? Is he just supposed to put his 16 million in and then that's it? So he doesn't get any pay, any reward for what he's done over the last
but when he sells the club.
But didn't Donald allegedly take the parachute money anyway? So isn't that technically his reward?
Well, end of the day, I mean, we've had this discussion before about Donald. I think anybody with a finance brain could have come in and cut the costs the way Donald's done it. You know what I mean?
Anyway, sorry,
Terry. Oh, I think anybody with a finance brain could have come in and done what Donald's done. So, like, and he's obviously got an agenda with him, and this, I want to give him any praise, but I must have. When I watched it, the Silent I Die, the series, you come across an alright bloke, but ultimately he's just failed, isn't he? And
the bottom line is when he came in, sorry Terry, I'll come in here and say when he came in, right? Somebody, whether it be him or whoever it was who came in, somebody had to cut the wage bill. We had far too much going out compared to what was coming in. So somebody had to do it. So whoever that was going to be was never going to be popular. Mad Mistake.
Right. You buy a house for 50,000, a do up there, right? You do it up, you spend 30,000 on it. So you spend 80 grand on a house. You sell it for 110. There's your reward at the end of the day. Stuart Donald has come in, he's bought the club for what he's put his money in, and he's going to make a massive profit when he sells it. That's the reward he wants.
Well,
he doesn't deserve anything else.
Well, that's fair enough. Well, is there a problem with him getting that reward?
No.
Yes. No rewards at all. He gets it when he sells the club, and that's it.
Yeah, when he sells the club.
You don't drain the club. You don't drain
This
it.
is what you're in for.
Sell it for more money.
But that's what I'm saying. When he sells the club, right, for more than he put in, right? He sells the club for more than he's put in. That's his reward. So I don't see why there's a problem with that.
If he's that desperate to sell the club, he could lower the price a little bit, and he'd still make a profit. Even if he sold the club for 30 million or whatever, he's making double. But then what about the 20 million? What's missing? That's the thing that's bugging me. I mean, he said, I'm sure he says to the reporters, like he is in the process of paying that back. Do you know what I mean? But like,
good on him. Well done.
He's not going to.
We haven't seen everything what's happened to Diaz.
Yeah,
So we've been a bit unlucky. We've come on the show live, and all these things what's happening, we've like sort of been bang in the middle of it. So it's hard to like sort of when we get off air live.
You get first-hand reactions, lad. First-hand reactions were the first people to react to this.
Let me ask Thomas a question.
Go on then.
Thomas, Adi Akinfenway, would you have him at Sunderland next season?
Akinfenway? You mean
Yes.
Akinfenwa.
No.
Hashtag beast.
He seems nice, but I don't think he's that good.
Imagine the passion in the changing rooms if players weren't performing. Imagine them getting hold of him and shake.
Could you imagine? Can you imagine if he came and helped Sunderland go up next year? He'd probably go something like, sorry, no. Can you just repeat the question again? What have Sunderland done? What have we done? We've just got promoted to the Championship.
He's class, isn't he? He's class.
You know,
Right, listen.
Yes, he's not Charlie Wyke, so I'll take him.
Can I jump in
Go on, Terry.
Right on the chat? Gary Talbot has just said, right. So if Stuart Donald, right, doesn't want anything to do with the club, why is he going to invest in new players then? if there's
Exactly.
no buyer. So
Exactly.
fair
Because-
point. Yeah.
Because if Judon can't find a buyer and he's going to be stuck with us in League One, surely with half a brain, he has half a brain, would think, let's help get this club to the Championship, and then I'll get more money.
Yes,
financially-
but Michael, we've been there before because
But
with
just
Ellis
being
Short.
there before doesn't mean it won't happen this time, though.
Well, with Ellis Short though, it's like Ellis Short. We get relegated right from the Premiership, and we're in the Championship, right? And all the time we was in the Championship, he wanted out, right? Surely the thing to have done would have been invest and sell it as a Championship club, get more, but it didn't happen.
I
So
agree with that.
I
I've
get
said
what you're
that
saying.
again.
I get what you're saying, but it doesn't always happen. Mad mistake.
Ellis Short was worth billions. It was worth billions. He was just fed up. He was just sick. He wanted away from football. He wanted to get back to his own life. How old
Yeah.
is he? In his 60s or whatever it is. He was finished with football. That was it. Stuart Donald is a younger man. He wants to make more of a profit, put extension on his house, get into the Championship, and make more money. You would have to. Why would you want to linger in League One? I mean, he wanted to get someone promoted the first time of asking, and he tried his absolute best to get us promoted the first time as asking. And sitting in the stadium after the match against Charlton, he was sitting there thinking, I'm going to soak in what the fans feel. Bollocks! It was absolutely gutted. He didn't get the
What?
Championship, so he couldn't make his money.
Right.
The thing is as well, he has the audacity that in an interview saying, all right, we've got to look at it being a 100-point season next year. Right. You do know then you're supposed to reflect that in the window, right? You know, come on.
Right. Look, we're sort of running out of time now. So before we do, I just would like each of your opinions on Wycombe Wanderers getting promoted to the Championship. There's a lot of people have complained because of where they actually were in the league and what have you. So, Sean, do you want to kick us off?
Wycombe getting promoted. Normally, I'd say congratulations to anybody who got promoted, but on this case, they didn't deserve it for me. They refused to play, and the stupid, pathetic points per game system. They used that, and then obviously they've getting the playoffs. They've getting the playoff final. They've won, and they've been promoted now. But I just think it's all wrong. I think I blame the EFL really, but I just it's just.
Basically, you're not happy then, Sean.
No, bad taste in my mouth.
Thomas, what do you think?
I think it's bollocks. I think
Really? You're not happy?
Oh, go on, lad.
Go on, Thomas.
we beat them
Get
4-0.
into
The points per game system was the Championship's proven it was corrupt. Obviously, Luton were dead and buried with it, and now they could survive.
Mhm.
It should never have been settled like that.
Agree. Michael?
Well, with regards to what Sean said, I think he was not happy. I think the other two weren't happy, particularly. For Wycombe, if anyone was in their position, they would have done exactly the same thing and voted to end with via points per game. My issue is that, and it's not against Wycombe, it's against anyone. If you vote to end the season, then you shouldn't be allowed to play in the playoffs. Then, if that's the case, you can't say we can't afford to play games for the rest of the season. Oh, but we can conveniently afford to play the playoff. No, you cannot do that. What I would say as well is, no matter who got promoted from the playoffs, I'm pretty sure out of Fleetwood, Pompey, Oxford, and Wycombe, weren't Portsmouth the only one out of those four to vote to continue this season? So
No,
that's really, by that logic, Portsmouth were the one that probably deserved promotion the most. But
There was
I get what.
Well, let's,
know,
man mistake. You want in there?
I'm absolutely over the moon for the club. I wish them all the best. They were the best team out of the 4 teams to win and get to the final and beat Oxford. They deserve everything they get. Well done, Gareth Ainsworth. Fantastic manager. Fantastic job. And I hope they survive in the Championship next season. Well done, Wycombe Wanderers. But let us have Adiak and Fenway.
Jacob.
I can't believe any of our
Zach
fans
and
would-
Fen were terrible. Yeah, I am disappointed the way how it's worked out with the points per game system, but we have to forget about it now. It's done. It's history. I mean, if my team went up like that, I'd take it, but I'd still look back on it in the long run that did we really deserve it? But it's gone now. Forget about it. Move on to next season. We are Sunderland until we die.
Remember when we got promoted when Swindon got kicked out?
Yeah.
We were happy, weren't we? So well done, Wycombe
1990,
Wanderers.
yeah.
Well done, Wycombe Wanderers.
So,
One-
Sean, you was one in, was you?
There were.
Or maybe he wasn't then.
No, it was me.
All right.
I was saying.
Well,
No,
Go on then, Michael.
Sorry, no, one final thing. To any Sunderland fans that were saying in October that wouldn't have Gareth Ainsworth, I'll be interested to see what they think now, because I said in October he'd be a decent fit for Sunderland.
All right,
He
there you
is
go.
a cracking
Sean,
manager.
quickly.
Just quickly, the Dr. Matham says, just quickly one. If it would sign one player for next season, who would it be? Thomas,
Madison.
Jacob,
I can't pronounce the striker from Blackpool, Janele. Yeah, that's it,
Angela.
yeah. Nigel,
Terry?
yeah.
Do someone
I'd use
else.
changing rooms.
Huh?
I'd have Adi Akinfenwa, and I'm going to
No,
call
mate,
that.
Mike-
Akin Fenwa, man.
Mike,
Adi Akinfenwa.
Fenwa.
I love Fenwa. Come to Sunderland.
No,
Be Parkinson's number 2. Be the man in the change rooms. Give the team a good kick up the arse when they're not performing, because some managers don't do that. Come on.
Michael, quickly.
Marcus Madison easily. Should be
Billy?
done by now.
Yeah, I think I'd go with Madison as well. Quickly on the Wickham
Nearly
thing.
right as well.
Again, congratulations to them. I'm glad they're a little club, first time in the championship, so I'm happy for them going up. And as we said, the point system wasn't fair, but every single team, including Sunderland, voted for what was best for themselves. So, and the way the rules were, you know, if they voted to end the season, that suited them. But every single club voted to what would be best for themselves.
Anyone in that shoe would have done the same.
Anyway, that just about wraps it up from us on a Thursday. Thanks for joining us. Big thank you to Thomas,
Thanks for having
who
us.
was our
Well
guest
done,
tonight.
Thomas.
Give him a round of applause. Well done. There you go.
Thank
Yes,
you.
Thomas,
Good
thanks
lad.
very much. We're sorry you couldn't get on as much. You couldn't get in because Sean never stops talking and wants to talk all the time. But we'll be back again next week.
Also, happy
live.
1 year anniversary to SAFC Fan TV.
Oh yeah. It was one. It was our
Yes.
birthday. It was our birthday this week. One. Woohoo!
Road
Just
to
that-
10,000 subscribers is on the way.
We're still in nappies, all of us. So a big thank you to you lot for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. We'll be back again next Thursday live. Join us for that. So from Sean, myself, Wee Philly, Thomas, Michael, The Mad Mistake, and Jacob, we'll see you all later. See you. Ta-ra. Bye-bye. Woohoo!
So look, we